Uh, the focus today is kind of about, the do's and don'ts of real estate today. There's a lot going on out there. So to get started, my opening thoughts for people. Here's my opening thoughts. I heard from a friend, a company I do business with for decades, was talking to the owner, and he heard someone use the term, as a real estate industry, we are operating like it's peacetime, but that's over and now it's wartime. I heard that analogy. I was like, wow, I really like that. The shift in the market has been so dramatic. The marketplace we were in, if you're taking notes, this is what I'd like you to make note of. The marketplace we were in was a fear of missing out market. Liquidity galore from printing cash, government tossing money into the market, artificially low interest rates. We created what's called a fear of missing out market. Everybody was afraid they'd miss out on that low interest rate. Demand surged. Now we're in what I call a quality and needs-based marketplace. The quality of the person they hire, the people they're working with, and is it solving a need? Is it solving a true need? Now, not to say that there are people that look like they can do transactions running around with people that are not going to do a transaction. And when I say they look like they're going to do a transaction, I mean, you could vet them and they just appear like they should do a transaction, but they don't. They don't take action. So we went from a market of fear of missing out to a market of needs and quality. So when he said the peacetime, wartime thing, Judy took it a step further and did a little searching around that term in business. And she came up with this definition I wanted to share. It says, in peacetime, your work on open innovation expands the mindset of your team and explores potentially fruitless but creative opportunities for your company. Fruitless but creative. Then it goes on to say, in wartime, you have to aggressively narrow your focus to a few selective endeavors with a clear, marked pathway for sound return on investment. Well, for my owners, you know what that means. For my managers, you know what that means. For the agents on this call, you are Agent Inc. You are the president of your organization. You have to think like a business person. So that means you have to realize that the marketplace has created the need to operate differently. And we got to make sure that we make that adjustment. Now, the other thing I want to say in my opening remarks is I truly believe, and those of you who know me, I believe with my whole heart that this is the most opportunistic time to be in real estate. I've been telling you that all year long if you've been listening to me on any of my webinars. The reason it's the most opportunistic time is we went through 3-4 years of onboarding people that did not want to be real estate agents, of them doing order taking work, which was the skill of the day. I mean, I'm not picking on people for being order takers, but in a fear of missing out marketplace, they were order takers. Some of them made it on stage as top producing people, and now they're not producing. Those agents, along with some agents that have been around for a while, go into paralysis. And that paralysis is driven because what they did before doesn't work now. So literally people will say, I'm going to wait for the market to come back. I was sharing yesterday with a company, can't find the article. Here it is. I was sharing yesterday with some people that in one of our trade online people, this is crazy. This is someone, if I said their name, they're an industry speaker. There's somebody that's out there in our trade online journalism. Literally has a quote in here where they say, they were talking about using AI. And they said, while the industry is waiting for the market to straighten up, you can spend your time learning about AI. I just want you to know, if you follow Dan Elzer, SWAT, whatever, that is the most ridiculous statement that guarantees failure. When we have people writing in our trades that the way the market is, we're going to wait till it comes back. You're missing the boat. Good old Berkshire Hathaway. Oh God, getting old, forgetting names.
Warren Buffett.
Thank you, Warren Buffett. That's why Judy exists, guys. So when I don't know what I'm doing, she can help me. Warren Buffett, his great quote, when others are greedy, I am fearful. When others are fearful, I am greedy. And it all boils down to when everyone has such confidence to be greedy in a marketplace, we're past the point of return. I mean, we're going into the end of it. But when everybody is in the fear of, oh my God, the market's not there, there is so much business to be had. And that's where we are right now. So when we talk about the do's and don'ts, when we talk about the opportunities out there, I want you to know, and I want you to have confidence that we have the greatest opportunity right now in real estate. So with that said, I want to begin with challenges. I've had the honor of doing some of these types of events live with real estate companies all over the nation. I've got about 4 or 5 more booked right now for the fourth quarter. If any of my New Zealand people are on, I'm heading there in November again, down to New Zealand for 2 weeks. And whenever I'm out in the marketplace and I ask, what are the challenges to success right now? You can list some of these. I don't need you to give them to me. I'm going to tell you what I've been hearing. And this is what they list for me. The seller's expectations due to what the market has done. I go, okay, so you have problems with the seller. The buyer's mindset due to interest rates and affordability, okay? Low inventory, okay? The high interest rates, okay? Multiple offers in the meat of the market, where there's still the market, we're dealing with multiple offers. I go, okay. And then time to get it all done, Dan. It just don't have the time to do what we need to do. That's a summary of what I've gotten in live events when I walk through the crowd and ask, give me it. And I want to do this to you. I want to give you a what if right now. And again, if you're taking notes, this is the most important part of getting started here. Here's my what if. What if you did not have permission to use market or time as a reason for not getting to success? What if I took that away from you? You can't say market. You can't say time. So we go back to the list. Well, if I can't use market and time, let me look at the list. First thing was sellers changed expectation due to the market. Can't use that. Scratch it out. Buyer's mindset with the markets. Can't use that. Scratch it out. Low inventory. That's the market. Scratch it off. High interest rates. That's the market. Scratch it off. Multiple offers. That's the market. Scratch it off. Time to get things done. That's time. Scratch it off. Now, why would I say you can't use those? And that's because the market and time are the great equalizers in business. Everybody has the same market that you're competing with, and everybody has the same amount of time. If I take time and market away, what's left for us to explore as leaders of our business if time and market are not allowed to be used? What's left? Type it into the chat. What is left to explore as a leader of Agent Inc. if you can't use time and market? Give me some thoughts. Thank you, Jim. Make sure you have to everybody, guys. Some of you hit me direct. Me, myself, my mindset. Jim said your activities, the way we communicate. Me, got a lot of me's. So this is mine. When I say what is left, if I take time and market away, is your behavior in the market you're in, or your activities as Jim's. What is your behavior? And I got to tell you real quick that I got set up and burned by my investors. When I first opened my first company, I had investors. And once we got it rolling and things were really good, I was like, this is great. Had a board meeting. Early 90s, we had a little bit of a recession here in Florida. The investors, the guys that invested in me came to town. I go into the conference room for the board meeting and they go, Dan, you're off your numbers. And I go, yes, we are off. We're off budget. And he goes, why? And I said these words, folks. I said, well, we have a slight recession happening here in Florida, and the lead investor interrupts me. He goes, Dan, I got to ask you a question. I go, what? He goes, is your market different than anyone else's here? And I went, no. He goes, He goes, is your market more difficult than, say, and he named a couple competitors. And I went, no. And he goes, well, some of them are doing pretty well. I've done my research. And then he asked this question, guys, and this stung. Maybe it will sting for you. He said, could it be we have the wrong operator running our business for the market we're in? Do you know how bad that hurts when you're sitting in front of your investors and they say that to you? And I was like, no. And then he made it clear to me. He said, never walk in this room again and tell this board that the reason you're failing is because of the market or because of time. He said, they're the great equalizers in business. Now, I took away from that going, wow. And 36 years later, I don't let anyone that worked for me or any of the businesses I've run use time or market. And this is why. And again, take notes here. The way our brain operates, the business part of our brain, if you say something about the market is the reason you're not achieving your goals, your brain knows that you cannot control it, so it stops looking for a solution. Literally, you go, well, there's no inventory. Okay, well, there's no inventory, there's nothing you can do, so it's okay to fail. But if you go, I can't use that, then your brain starts to work. Your brain starts to find a way. Your brain starts to critically think. So remove time and market from anything you do in planning moving forward and look at the market you have and how you should attack it. Peacetime, wartime, what are you doing? Because there's always transactions, there's always opportunities, but the people that allow their brain to stop working do not attack the market you're in. When others are greedy, I'm fearful. When others are fearful, I get greedy. That's how I want you to think about where we are today. Focus on what you can control. Do not focus on what you cannot control. And you will be a dominant player moving into the fourth quarter and into next year. Now, market update. We can't use market as an excuse, but we sure as heck better understand what the market's doing. And those of you who know me know I'm a geek about the economics. Federal Reserve didn't raise rates yesterday for the interbank rate. Again, if you followed me, you're educated here. The interbank rate is what banks spend to borrow money from the Federal Reserve. So when that goes up, consumer lending, as far as credit cards and cars and boats, those things go up. But the Federal Reserve moving the interbank rate has no impact on interest rates. If you're following Dan Ells, you've heard me say this, you know this. The thing we watch as real estate professionals is the 10-year Treasury. The 10-year Treasury, when the rate goes up in the 10-year Treasury, the 15 and 30 follows. When the rate comes down, it follows. Proof of that is right here. There's the chart. There's a chart from 04 through 21. And the bottom line, the bottom orange, is the 10-year. The top blue and red are the 15 and 30. There's perfect harmony. And when the 10-year moves, so does the interest rates. Now, if you look at the very end, because remember, when we came into 22, the 10-year started to take off. And so you see the uptick at the end of this chart in the 10-year, but you don't see the uptick yet in interest rates because it happened after the 10-year moved. So you'll hear on television, oh, the Fed didn't raise rates. That's great for real estate. It has nothing to do with real estate. And here's the other proof. If you want to go back and do a little postmortem, last year, whenever the Federal Reserve did 2 3/4% moves in a row, everybody was like, oh, wow, that was a monster move. Those both times that they made those 3/4 point moves, our interest rates went down and they raised. So don't get fooled that what the Fed's doing with the interbank rate matters. Now, what does matter is this. The other thing the Federal Reserve did is bought the 10-year bond all the way through the decade before the pandemic to support our economy. But then when the pandemic came, they double, triple, quadrupled down on buying the 10-year. That's what drove our rates down below 3%. Well, now they're selling bonds because they have to get money out of the market. So they're selling the 10-year. And when you sell the 10-year, the interest rate goes up. When you buy the 10-year, the interest rate goes down. So now they're selling. So they're forcing the market back to normality, back to where it should be. But since they're selling a lot of them, they've artificially gone beyond where I think the market will be. So my, layman's geeky approach to the economy has been, we were going to have an okay year this year, be a little bit rocky in the third quarter. The fourth quarter will start to normalize. And then next year, I'm going to go out on a limb with all of you on this call and say, I think the second half of next year, we could see the rates creep back down to the 5%, the high fives. That to me, I think is going to be a normal mark for us, and it's going to be amazing. You can either take action now and build your base and become a dominant figure when that happens, or you can listen to that person in that article and wait until it comes, and then the other million agents will join you. You're going to do it differently, and that's why I'm having this webinar. So with the market like it is, liquidity has gotten tighter, interest rates have gotten higher. There's still competition in the most difficult of markets as far as multiple offers. So what is the business model that a real estate agent can run that guarantees success? And that's what I want you to kind of focus on right now. Now, business models, if you're a SWAT agent, if you've been through our SWAT program, there's 3 business models. You've got a buyer agent business model, a listing agent business model. Now, those are the opposite ends of the spectrum. A listing agent business model is where that agent plans to earn 70+% of their income directly from listings. The 30% happens, referred business, double dips, a buyer here and there that they might cherry pick. The buyer agent business model is the exact opposite. 70+% of their revenue comes from buyers. They're highly engaged in lead gen and referrals and that side of the business. But the other business model is the balanced business model. That's where you have a balance of listings and buyers. Now, since we have, as an industry, upwards of 70 to 80% of agents have drifted into the buyer side or are full buyer agent, I'm not telling people anymore, go become a listing agent. That's a tall task. But what I am sharing with you is if you become a balanced agent business model, I guarantee success. Guarantee success. And what I want to do is show you why that is that way. That balanced agent business model does the following thing for you. Here's the example. Balanced approach means if I'm going to do 20 units, just as an example, there are 2 sides of the business. There's the list side and there's the buy side. I need 10 transactions on the list side and 10 transactions on the buy side to be in balance. Now that's just simple math, right? Here's what I want you to make a note of. The problem is if you don't attack this properly as a business model, you'll never get there. You see, the buyer side of the business does not have any business metrics. No business metrics. The listing side of the business has business metrics. I can come to any one of your markets, sit down with you, and a matter of about an hour, I'll know what is the average commission, what is the average days on market, what percent of listings sell versus expire or withdraw, what percent of pending listings make it to the finish line and close. Those 4 metrics give me the opportunity to tell you exactly what to do to make the money you need. But let's look at the buyer side. Now, be prepared for your chat right now. I want you to use chat. So everybody get ready. Yes or no, Y or N. Can an agent do everything right on the buyer side? Initial appointment in office, needs analysis, education, qualification, do everything right and take that buyer out in today's environment and they hesitate, become paralyzed, or not buy? Yes or no? And that can happen over and over again if you have bad luck. Watch this. If you go out and take 5 mediocre listings in your market right now through the year, 5 mediocre listings, how many will sell? Tell me that. 5 mediocre listings, how many will sell? That's called metrics, guys. Someone put 1. Kimberly, I'm curious where you are. If only 1 would sell. I know there are some markets that are tough. So that's what I mean about metrics. There was no hesitation in 90% of you to put, yeah, someone could do everything right and not make money. But you can't go get a listing and not make money. You get a couple listings, you're going to make money. The worst agent can get a couple listings and make money right now, as long as they have the skills to go get the listing. So let me go back to the business model. If I start on the buyer side, I could end up with a couple of those people that don't buy. It eats up my time. My year goes away. I never get balanced. But if I'll start on the list side, and let's just say I'm real conservative here. Instead of an 80, 90% sales rate, I'm going to say only 75% of listings sell. So I need to take 13 listings. If I take 13 listings, 10 will sell or more. But the other metric that exists on the list side is the percentage of sellers that buy from their agent after their house sells. And that's at 60%. So that means if I go list 13 listings, I have 10 listings sold and 6 buy-side sales, and I never work with anyone that wasn't already a client. So here's my next question. Go to your chat. Can you think of a better buyer than your seller that just sold their house? I'm talking holistically, from having the relationship, the trust, everything. So let's just break down why a seller is a fabulous buyer. 1, we have a relationship. 2, we have trust. 3, this is big. They just negotiated on the other side of the deal. They understand the buyer side. So when they go out as a buyer, they have a leg up. 4, they have money or the capability to purchase. And the last one is they have a deadline. They have a reason to purchase. What has happened coming out of fear of missing out market and going into quality and needs market is all of these lead gen programs that were created through the good times captured people that had a fear of missing out. Now they're capturing people that might not need to buy now. The person who has the market captured of the best buyers is a listing agent, because that seller becomes the person that understands how to negotiate and has a deadline. You can take clickbait and end up with someone who has got an 800 credit score, has money, has everything necessary, and then says, not yet. Let's see what's going to happen. I'm being honest with you today, folks. I want you to really hear me here. The balanced approach is the way to go. You will not fail. Because look what's happened here. Because I took those 13 listings, 80% of my goal was hit. 16 transactions happened. So now I get to take the 6 away from the 10 on the buy side, leaving me 4 buyers. But I have 13 listings that I can cherry pick the 4 buyers. So here's my next question. Go to your chat. How many of you are confident enough? Just put a Y or yes, or I don't care, or hooray. How many of you are confident enough that if you had 13 listings through the year, without spending a dime on lead gen, you could sort through and find 4 quality buyers to fill the rest of the 20? There is the undeniable business model that never fails in the marketplace we're in. I'm not blaming the market. I'm not blaming time. I'm talking about my behaviors. How am I aligning myself? The other cool thing is when you have a business model and you know what your model's all about, you have clarity on the actions that you're going to take. You know what every morning needs to be, what every week needs to be. You don't waste time. You don't lose energy. But you have to understand that your habits are stronger than your knowledge. So what I mean by that is habits get in the way, folks. I've shared with you guys, if you've been on any of my webinars this year, my quote is habits are stronger than knowledge. We moved from a big office into a smaller office the first of the year. We were 10 years in the old office. 3 of the first 5 days of the year, I drove to the wrong office. I didn't drive to the wrong office because I'm an idiot. I drove to the wrong office because I have a habit. Literally drove to the wrong office thinking about the new office. And I'm going to tell on Judy. She calls me yesterday. She's coming back from an appointment. She calls me. I go, what's up? She goes, guess where I am? I went, the old office. She's like, yes, she drove to the old office. Habits will kill us, guys, if we're not aware. So please stay aware. And what I want to start with is a self-evaluation for you. Write these 3 things down. When we're done and get off this call, I want you to evaluate yourself, your team. First one, behaviors. Are behaviors proactive or reactive? Proactive meaning I'm involved, I'm engaged. Reactive means I only do behaviors that give me a reason to do them. Someone called, someone did something, so I'm working on it. Second area is marketing. Is my marketing passive? I'm mailing, I'm videoing, I'm posting, or is it active? I'm branded, I'm in the marketplace. I'm the trusted advisor to these people that are uncertain right now. And then the third area of self-evaluation is your plan as a leader here. When it comes to leadership, there's leading and managing. Leading is looking down the road. Leading is eyes on the horizon. Leading is steering the ship to prevent it from hitting the rocks. Managing is taking care of what's going on. It's today, it's yesterday's problems, it's troubleshooting, it's problem solving. And we came out of a strong market where we've spent a lot of time in management, and some of us don't even realize we're not leading. I was interviewing a manager about this in a company I'm just started doing business with, doing some consulting with. And the person proudly said to me, and I won't say who they are, I love them, but they proudly said to me, Dan, I'm a great leader. And I said, explain why. And everything they told me was about how they can fix things that go wrong. And I went, that's not leadership. I said, that's management. As a leader, you would have never had the things go wrong. You would have steered the ship. And that was kind of like a aha moment for them. I go, you're taking pride in fixing things. A leader wouldn't let it break. That's where I want us to be. What is the time that you are clawing back to make sure you have your head up and you're leading your team, yourself? Management's most, whenever people ask me as a leadership coach, depending on who you are in a hierarchy, it changes. But in general, you need 15 to 20% uninterrupted time to be leading, and 85% of your business time is managing and doing things. But if we get to 100%, we hit the rocks a lot, and we think we're really good at what we do by fixing what we do when we hit the rocks. So be careful in that area as well. Okay, got 3 topics to consider. These are the action things for my agents to become balanced. Number 1, meet more people. So number 1 and 3 is meet more people. And what this means, it's one of my laws. Those of you know I have 10 laws. I do a keynote, 10 laws of success. And law number 9 is meet more people. Never let the sun go down on a business day where you haven't met someone you didn't know yesterday. If that's how I live my life. I have to meet someone every day that I don't know. It can be in the store, it can be on the street. I just have to meet somebody. If you do that, you'll always be successful. But we have to break it down if we're proactively doing this. If we're doing this as a business model, there's 2 ways of developing business. There's passively. That's where they find us. That goes back to, posts, videos, mailings, geographical farming, those things. Then there's active, we find them. That's calling people, that's knocking, that's being in public, engaging people as the trusted advisor so you can talk to people. Please understand you need a balance there as well. If you're going to become a balanced agent, you need to have a balance of active and passive to succeed. But please beware, do's and don'ts. Beware, do not get fooled. Do not be fooled. I doubt that you can talk to me about a week or a month that goes by that you're not called by someone trying to have you spend money in a passive way. When I was failing, my first 18 months in the business, if you know my story, I almost went out of business. And the reason I almost went out of business, or one of the reasons, was I was fooled. Every time the industry ancillary businesses around my real estate company called on us, came to us and said, oh, you're missing the boat if you don't buy this. You're missing the boat if you don't get involved in this. They were all passive things. Now, I'm just being honest with you. You guys know me. I have no problem being honest about my failures. Here's where I went wrong. I would spend that money that I did not have, and I would go home, literally look in the mirror and feel good about myself and go, now we got something going on. And then nothing would happen. And I would wonder why. And I didn't have trainers and coaches like we have today. Well, what I did was I listened to other people tell me how to run my business, and all they wanted was my money. Don't be fooled, and don't get that false sense of security that passive works in a quality needs-based market. You have to have passive, but it has to support your active. So here's my active 5. I'm going to give you 5 things to choose through, and I'll give you my passive 5. So the active 5 for my SWAT agents that have been through SWAT Core 300, that is your best 300 people in your sphere. Mailing or emailing monthly, talking to them in person quarterly will bring you 6 to 9 transactions per 100 people. We run the numbers all the time. It's actually better than that if you're consistent and persistent. It's a great, active, purposeful thing. Second one, I came up with this last year, and it's become a favorite of many of our clients. 1548. Give me 1 hour, 5 days a week, 48 weeks out of the year. But the hour must be immersed in the marketplace, not having lunch with a friend, being where you run into people. Be branded, have your name badge, so people come up and ask you that question. Hey, are you in real estate? How's it going? Your goal here for 1548 is to meet one person during the hour that you didn't know that talks about real estate. Not 10, not 15, 1. If you will go out 5 days a week, 48 weeks a year, and meet one person being branded, you will have met 240 people that talk to you about real estate that you didn't know by the end of the year. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that if you talk to 240 people in a year that talk about real estate, you're going to do some transactions. My third one is FSBOs. Kind of been left behind in all this. FSBOs are back. There's more and more of them. But the other thing I want you to do that I only learned this because I coach and consult with some big property management companies that just do property management. They're not real estate resale companies. They're just strictly property management companies. And what they're finding is they're single property landlords. In other words, the seller that didn't sell and decided to rent have become a pain in their butts because they don't want to spend the money necessary to prep the house on the turn of the tenant. And they're just having all kinds of problems. And so strategically, as a consultant for them in that business, we are deciding to get rid of single landlord properties that won't do the right thing. Well, what we're finding is those people then are trying to do it themselves. So they become for rent by owners. All they are is a precursor to wanting to sell that house. Few agents are chasing them. Look for your for rent by owners. They're just one step away from wanting to sell that house. Fourth one, expireds. But go back 6-8 months. We go back 6-8 months ago. If you follow Red-X is a partner of ours. They cleanse the list for FSBOs and expireds and help with listings. They were doing the statistics on it, and coming into this year, it was like a 500-something% increase in expireds across the nation. Now, there weren't many, so it wasn't like it was a huge amount, but it grew exponentially. And what they found was a lot of agents were being told, I'm going to wait. So at the beginning of this year, we had a whole bunch of people expire that said, I'm going to wait. Well, you know what? They've waited. Let's go get them. And then my last one for my active is canvassing. Every time you take a listing, make sure you do your just listed, just sold, and your open house. And the key around that is, again, doing numbers. 200 was the sweet spot. If you mail 175 to flood the market, and then have whatever company you're using that you're doing that with send you the 25 postcards that you will walk to the neighbors. That's where you'll find your next listing. Invite them to bring a friend into the neighborhood. How would you like to choose your next neighbor? Whenever I go for the open house, they're always like, Dan, why would I come to the open house? I own a house here. And I always go, hey, Do you know what Jim did to that house down the street? Do you realize what he's done in there? They're like, no, what did he do? You got to come see it. People always ask me, why am I inviting tire kickers and nosy neighbors? Because I promised the seller I'd get them top dollar. Watch this. If I get 6 couples kicking around for an hour in an open house and a real buyer walks through the door, they don't know their neighbors. They just know people are interested in the house. That's my way of being better than someone else to drive urgency in a buyer that might walk through the door. But if I don't have people kicking around and it's a slow day and a real buyer walks in and there's no one in the house, they have no reason to feel urgent. And then whenever it sells, I go around and again, 175 and walk the 25 that just sold. It wasn't every single time, but more times than not, I got another listing because I did that. So there's my fast 5 for active. Here's my passive fast 5. First one, unsolicited CMAs. If I have a place that I just did CMA, let's say I just had an opportunity for a listing, excuse me, I'm going to go to my 4300 and anyone remotely in that area, I'm going to update that and I'm going to get it to them. And I'm going to get it to them with the talk track in the email that goes like this. Hey, Eric, I was just in your neighborhood working with somebody else and did a valuation report. I thought you might be interested in what's going on, so I thought I'd include you. If you have any questions about it, hey, just reach out. Be happy to explain what's going on. That's a passive way of people picking up the phone and talking to you that you can then find business. One of my favorites. Social media, again, for my SWAT agents, you already know this, prospecting in your PJs. Wake up in the morning, get your cup of coffee, go to your social media, go to the list of friends. Don't use your news feed. Start at the top of the list, and every morning, every business morning, go to 5 people's homepage. Like and comment, read what they're talking about. When you read a comment that makes you think they might be thinking about real estate, schedule a lunch with them. Go by and have a cup of coffee with them. Don't use technology. Get in person. You'll hear people say things about the yard's too hard to keep up with, or the house has gotten too big, too small, empty nesters. My third one is using, again, my SWAT people know this, online for sale by owners. You can do an assistance approach to them where you email them through the for sale by owner site with a couple ideas. And after you give them a couple ideas, then just email and say, you've got some more stuff that you'd like to share with them. Let's get together. Once they see that you've given them a couple freebies through email, you've got a high probability that they'll let you in the door. 4, now we used to do this in the old days on foot. If I had, Marissa, you're in the middle of my screen now, so you get picked on. Let's say Marissa's my buyer and she's trying to move back here into the Brantley School District and wants to live in Sable Point, but there's nothing available that she wants. The old days in the 90s, we just team up with another agent and say, Marissa, don't worry, we're going to walk the whole neighborhood and look for a listing for you. And we would go knock on doors and go, hey, Marissa wants to move back here. Can't find her a house. We promised her that we would knock on every door until we found her home. Who do you know in the community that's thinking of selling? Again, that almost always turned up a listing opportunity or a house for Marissa. Today, people have, because we've got people that aren't as proactive, so this goes in passive now. Today, people are just getting creative with help wanted, like postcards. I'm a fan of you doing personal notes. If you're not going to walk the neighborhood, put out like 5 notes a day, handwritten, and slowly canvass the whole neighborhood about Marissa needing a house. That could drive you business. And then the last one is volunteer, be visible and branded. Be out in that marketplace, visible, branded, so people can come up and ask you that question. Hey, what's going on in real estate? Now, this is just number 1 of 3, guys. The good news on number 1 is you only need to be good at 1 on each list. You don't have to do all of them. Pick 1 on each list and just be great at it, and you'll be just fine. My second takeaway is stop. Make sure you turn opportunity into appointments. I like to say, stop giving away the gold. Because we were in an urgent market, a lot of us answered a lot of questions out there. But what we didn't do is convert. I had an owner that we positioned their company to sell. So the whole reason they hired me as a consultant was they wanted to get financials right and be able to look good for a sale. So we got the thing sold. I don't do agent coaching anymore, but this owner said, hey, I want to go back to selling. Will you coach me for a little while? She was incredibly known in the marketplace. Thought it'd be an easy transition to get her back into the business. She was failing. I ended up role playing with her. I said, you know, so many people, are you converting? And so I role played with her, folks. And I said, here's an opportunity. You're at an event. I walk up and start talking to you. What is your next move? Her next move was to tell me everything she knew, to be nice. That's giving away the gold, guys. Here's your talk track. Jim comes to me. Hey, Dan, seeing real estate, I was wondering, man, I've been reading a lot about the interest rates. How do you think that's affecting the market? I go, you know what, Jim, it's pretty complex, but it's still amazing. Hey, would you be up for a cup of coffee? I'd love to, really give you some information on that. Or, hey, could we get together? I could come by. I'm going to be in the neighborhood. I immediately go to, can we get together? If Jim goes, oh, no, we don't need to meet, he wasn't serious. But think about it this way. What if I said, can we get a cup of coffee? I'd be happy to explain it to you. And he goes, that would be great. I know he has a need. And now I'm going to be face-to-face in a real appointment. So that real appointment, I define this way. Again, for my SWAT agents, meet on my turf. You decide where, and then you're the doctor, they're the patient. Begin with discovery. I got to make Jim the hero here. When we sit down, I'm going to ask questions. I'm not going to talk about myself. I'm going to say, so what were your concerns about the market? What led you to have those concerns? How can I be of most help to you today? After discovery, then I've earned the right to qualify whether or not he has a need and whether or not he can perform in the current marketplace. That's how I want to approach every opportunity. Stop giving away the gold. I'm just curious, by a Y in the chat box, how many of you can be honest enough to know that you probably give the gold away too much? I'm just curious. People talk to you about the market right now, and you just go, hey, blah, 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 blah. Exactly. Convert. If they're real, they'll take the appointment. If they're fake, give them information, they'll walk away. Doesn't matter. Then the third thing is about execution. Being on purpose about execution, guys. Execution requires mastery of technique. Practicing it, drilling it, making sure you create a new habit. Just knowing about something does not cause execution to happen. You have to practice it. So here's my execution, number 3, do's for you. First, determine which one and master the approach you're going to use to become balanced. What are those things you're going to do? What is the active? What is the passive? And then practice your technique of conversion, and life gets really good. 2, use a week at a glance. Block time management. Know what your week looks like so you have the time necessary to do this methodology blocked off. Be tenacious. By the way, tenacity is law number 5 in my 10 laws that I live by. Never, ever quit. Never, ever, 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 ever quit. If you see behind me here, that's Vince Lombardi behind me. I want to talk about a guy who didn't know quit. That's why he hangs behind me. After tenacity, be disciplined. Never let someone take the time you've blocked off to make your business successful. A lot of agents will give up that time block when a possible maybe person goes, hey, can I steal some of your time? I might buy something someday. We are so conditioned from the urgent market, from the fear of missing out market, to jump on every opportunity. So what we do is then we go out with someone that you already admitted you could do everything right and not make money. And what you gave up was the opportunity to build your business. Protect the time, be disciplined. Then, last, make it a way of life. Do it over and over again until it becomes a way of life. Now, I also said I wanted to give you some don'ts. So I got a few don'ts for you as well. And these are near and dear to my heart. The don'ts really come down to things that can disrupt what we're trying to do right now. So I got 3 things for you to beware. Number 1, beware of running your business from emotion versus logic. Guys, this market was so good and we were doing so many things and and things aren't working like they used to. I've talked to so many agents that are emotionally invested in doing the wrong thing because it worked before. When I get them to speak logically, literally ask them, can you have somebody and they not buy? Yes. Then why are you only doing that? Why aren't you balanced? You've just told me your efforts could go for naught. And they're like, well, and then when we get logical, they go, well, I need to do this. Yeah, I need to change some skills and some behaviors. Logic, not emotion. Second thing to be aware of, getting caught up in tech and AI as a solution instead of a tool. Folks, I speak at conferences with all the different groups. You guys know that. And when I talk to the companies that hire us to speak, they all ask about AI. And I go, AI is a tool. It's a shiny object right now. If you know how to use AI, you can write a better description. You can do a better video. You can respond to tough challenges in the marketplace from your sellers. All those cool things AI can help you be better at require you to have the business. But we are fooling ourselves if we think AI is going to create the business. If it does, then there'll be 4 people doing business because we all can't just use AI. So don't let that get in the way of your business. And then the other is having the wrong mindset about inventory. Guys, I have been on countless calls with economists, non-economists, because everybody knows I'm a geek about the numbers, where the big thing that comes up is, Dan, the challenge we're going to have is low inventory. I keep going, stop saying that. They're like, why? I said, you've been saying it for 4 years. If we have low inventory, we would have run out of it by now. Somehow we keep replacing it. Just like you can't let the market or time be an excuse, inventory is part of the market. If you allow yourself to believe that the inventory is lower, there is no inventory, you will never go look for it. You'll never become balanced. Don't let that happen to you. Any questions? You can type them in, unmute and say, hey, Dan. And then I've got some closing thoughts and some takeaways to go home. Pavlov's dog. I like that. Well, you know, I'm shocked that you guys aren't beating me up about something, for God's sakes. No? Okay, watch this. How many of you know habits are stronger than knowledge? Give me a Y and hit enter. You just know habits are bad. Okay, you ready for the tough one? This is a number. I want you to write a number because I really want you to get balanced. How many transactions does the average agent lose because of a bad habit through the year? How many do they lose because of a bad habit? Guys, we have between 3 and 4 to 10. So it behooves us to change habits. It behooves us to make sure that we're ready for wartime, not peacetime. And to do that, we have to have a methodology. We have to know how. And with our habits stronger than our knowledge, I hope I've given you some value today. Let me just double check that. Give me a Y and enter if you think I gave you value for your 55 minutes. Okay. Well, if I've given you value, then I got to close you. I got to close you guys. If you have not taken SWAT, everything I'm telling you, every time you come to see me is built into an 8-week program online that you have 10 weeks to take that will change your stars. I mean, SWAT is about superior winning differences. That's your differentiation to the marketplace. And then your technique mastery to break the bad habits, to build the new habits. I don't care if you're experienced or new, that program will change your life. The graduates, once a quarter, we have a graduate webinar that is One of the favorite things of everybody out there that's taken the course, because we talk about what's next in the marketplace for the next quarter and how we can attack it. That's free. That comes to you the rest of my life doing this. It's 8 weeks of training. You get 10 weeks access to finish 8 weeks. And it is the most affordable training in the industry, $279. If you go to the site and hit reviews, you can read what your peers are saying. You can read people that didn't think they needed it and then took it, whether they're experienced or new. So if you want to change those habits, guys, and become that balanced agent and master it, I highly suggest you just take a picture of that. Go check it out. This doesn't commit you. Just go look at it, read the reviews, and let me coach you over 8 weeks and get you balanced. So next year, when the rest of the world decides to come back to work, you got them. I'm telling you, you will own them. Any last questions for me, guys? Well, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I stimulated you a little bit, made you think. Go out there, get balanced for me, be purposeful. And here's my closing thoughts. When a friend from a competition, a competitor comes up to you and goes, man, I'm really worried about the market. Are you? This is a competitor. I want you looking right in the eye and go, God, I'm scared to death. Matter of fact, I'm thinking about updating my resume. And they'll go, yeah, me too. And you go, yeah, I would if I was you. Because we need to get rid of a few of these people that get in our way as well. So don't be scared to lead the leadless away. Anyway, love you guys. Have a great rest of the quarter. Go make some big things happen. If you need me, you know how to reach out to us. Be happy to work with you. Take care.